Good day everyone, welcome again to another episode of Task Training. Today we'll discuss to you what are the zero-rated sale of services. This is under the train law at new regulations po natin na i-discuss ko sa inyo is Revenue Regulations 13-2018 which is the implementing guidelines of Republic Act 10963. So under section 4, under section 4 point 108.5, sino po itong mga zero-rated sale of services by a VAT registered person? Ano pong klase itong mga services na to? So, a zero-rated sale of service by a VAT registered person is a taxable transaction for VAT purposes. So, kung titingnan mo siya, taxable transaction talaga siya, subject to 12% VAT. But shall not result in any output tax. Walang output tax. Bakit? Kasi ginawang zero. So, however, the input tax on purchases of goods, properties, or services related to such zero-rated sale shall be available as tax credit or refund in accordance with these regulations. Wala siyang output tax. So, instead na magbabayad siya ng 12%, 0% po yung VAT niya. Pero, yung mga input tax or yung VAT na binayad po niya sa kanyang purchases, pwede po niyang i-claim as deductions po or kaya sa ibang taxes niya o kaya i-claim po niya ng tax credit or refund because asset pa niya or bigay yan na pribilehiyo ng gobyerno for those who are exporting services, Kaya ang ginawa sa kanila, instead na magbabayad sila ng 12% na VAT, zero po yung rate, pero yung input na mga binayad nila sa purchases na VAT registered persons ay pwede po nilang ma-claim as input tax, So, what are the transactions subject to 0% VAT rate? Ito po yung mga following transactions. Number 1, processing, manufacturing, or repacking goods for other persons doing business outside the Philippines, which goods are subsequently exported where the services are paid for in acceptable foreign currency and accounted for in accordance with the rules and regulations of the BSP. So, same po sila ng requirement with that of the zero-rated sale of goods. So, mapapansin natin, gano'n din ang requirement. The services are paid for in foreign currency and accounted for in accordance with the rules and regulations of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So, itong services ito, hindi ito sale of goods. Services na nagpa-process, nagma-manufacture, or nagre-repack ng goods for other persons doing business outside the Philippines o itong mga exporters. Number 2, services other than processing, manufacturing, or repacking rendered to a person engaged in business conducted outside the Philippines or to a non-resident person not engaged in business who is outside the Philippines when the services are performed. So, outside the Philippines. The consideration for which is paid for in acceptable foreign currency and accounted for in accordance with the rules and regulations with the BSP. Number 3, services rendered to persons or entities whose exemption under special laws or international agreements to which the Philippines is a signatory effectively subject the supply of such services to 0% rate. So, ito yung meron tayong mga special laws or international agreements na kasama po ang Philippines doon at nag-sign po siya as signatory to that agreement. So, zero-rated po siya. Number 4, services rendered to persons engaged in international shipping or air transport operations, including leases of property for use thereof, provided that these services shall be exclusively for international shipping or air transport operations. Thus, the services referred to herein shall not pertain to those made to common carriers by air and sea relative to their transport of passengers, goods, or cargoes from one place in the Philippines to another place in the Philippines, the same being subject to 12% VAT under Section 108 of the Tax Code. So, dito services naman po to binigay ng isang taxpayer o isang entity to an international shipping or air transport operations, including leases of property. Ito yung mga inuupahan na mga property, Pero, ang purpose dito is exclusive for international shipping or air transport operations. Kasi, pag ginamit na naman niya dito sa domestic, magiging subject to VAT na 12%. Because in this case, we're talking of zero-rated sales. So, ibig sabihin ng zero-rated sales, wala pong output, wala po yung 12% na VAT payable. Number 5, services performed by subcontractor and or contractors in processing, converting, or manufacturing goods for an enterprise whose export sales exceed 70% of the total annual production. No? So, ito yung nagsusupply siya ng services doon sa mga exporter who export their total manufacturing goods ng 70% of the annual total production. So, consider din po siya na zero-rated sale of services. Number 6, transport of passengers and cargo by domestic air or sea vessels from the Philippines to a foreign country. Gross receipts of international air or shipping carriers doing business in the Philippines derived from transport of passengers and cargo from the Philippines to another country shall be exempt from VAT. No? However, they are still liable to a percentage tax of 3% based on their gross receipts derived from transport of cargo from the Philippines to another country as provided for in Section 118 of the Tax Code and plants generating said power. No? So, ito yung transport of passengers, no? So, sa cargo by domestic air or sea vessels from the Philippines to a foreign country. So, in this case naman, registered po dito sa Pilipinas yung air or sea vessels, kaya nga domestic siya. Pero, ang ginawa niya, nag-transport siya ng passengers to a foreign country. So, in that case, hindi siya subject to VAT kung hindi zero-rated sales siya. Pero, yung mga halimbawa, nag-transport siya ng mga passenger dito, domestic, no? Itong domestic natin na air or transport, no? So, pag ship siya o nag-cargo siya dito sa Pilipinas, sa loob, domestic, subject siya sa 3% percentage tax. Pero kung yung mga cargos niya at saka yung pasahero niya, dinala niya sa ibang bansa, then yun lang po ang zero-rated, no? So, dalawang tax ang babayaran niya. Isang zero-rated sale for the transport of cargo and passenger to foreign country at yung 3% na common carriers tax, yan naman yung sa mga cargo na tinransport niya domestically or within the Philippines. Okay. Number 7 are sale of power or fuel generated through renewable sources of energy such as but not limited to biomass, solar, wind, hydropower, geothermal and steam, ocean energy, and other emerging sources using technologies such as fuel cells and hydrogen fuels. Bakit binibigyan ng subsidy or ng benefits ng gobyerno itong mga renewable sources of energy natin? Kasi our government encourage the production of this renewable energy. Ano itong mga renewable energy natin? Ito yung solar, no? So, itong solar, ang dami na niyan ngayon. At nagagamit na po siya talaga as an alternative to the kuryente na binabayaran natin monthly, no? And then, we have the wind, no? Ito yung mga windmill, no? Ang alam ko, meron yan sa Ilocos dito sa atin. And then, ito yung hydropower, yung famous, at saka yung pinakauna dyan, yung Maria Cristina Falls, na nag-degenerate din po siya ng kuryente and it supplies the Mindanao, no? So, hydropower, geothermal and steam, no? Meron to sa amin po sa Negros, sa Valencia. Yung parang nasa loob ka ng spaceship, no? Saan kumukuha ng kuryente yung geothermal? Sa ilalim ng lupa, yung mga singaw na mainit. No? So, geothermal and steam. And then, sa itong ocean energy, I don't think na meron na to sa atin. Pero sa Japan, alam kong meron na. Ano tong ocean energy? Ito yung current, or ito yung sa Bisaya, balod yan eh. Ano ba yung balod sa, sa English? Or sa Tagalog? Wave. Wave. alon, no? Ito yung tinatawag natin na ocean energy. Sa Japan, nako-convert na po niya yan into electricity na nagagamit na ng household. Pero sa atin, I don't think na meron pa. Anong ginagawa nila dito sa alon? Yung movement ng alon, i-charge yan ng energy, in-store nila sa battery. No? And then yun na yung ginagamit nila. Sa atin, wala pa. Ito naman mga fuel cells, hydrogen fuels, I don't know kung meron na rin ito sa Pilipinas. But of course, sa ibang mga industrialized advanced countries, meron na sila niyan, no? Alternative sources of energy. Provided, however, that zero rating shall apply strictly to the sale of power or fuel generated through renewable sources of energy and shall not extend to the sale of services related to the maintenance or operation of plants generating said power. So yun lang, yung sources lang yung pag-generate lang doon sa sources ng renewable energy. Pero yung ibang mga services, halimbawa maintenance daw, operation ng plants, no, hindi sila considered na zero rated sale. Okay? So with that, I would like to say thank you everyone and have a good day.